I spent one whole week learning Blender just to answer the question, can you learn Blender in a week? But first, I want to introduce myself. Hey, I'm Ori. I'm a young software engineer. And my dream is to be a game dev. But to be a game dev, you also need a lot of assets. And that's why I'm doing this whole week. So let's get right into it. Day 1. Blender is hard. First, I downloaded Blender and started it. But then I've seen this. So I closed it straight away and went to YouTube and found this amazing donut tutorial by Blender Guru. I watched it the whole way through, made notes, and built my donut along with it. And at the end, I had this amazing donut. Yeah, I know it doesn't look like it deserved that edit, but I think it will be fine. The next thing I made is a chair. The modeling actually took a whole lot of time because I made a lot of mistakes. But after I finished it and textured it, it still looked pretty basic, but I guess you could take it as a kid's chair. Then I built the epic scene for it, pressed render, and at the end I had this result. I don't know why the shadows in the back are so weird, but I think it's fine for my first one. To end day 1, I wanted to create this epic forest, because I thought I was already the best at Blender. So I used the tutorial from Smarty Roblox, modeled this amazing tree, and with some refinement it was even better. And then with placing that tree a whole lot of times, and using the amazing AutoCAM plugin, I managed to do this amazing scene for the end of day 1. Day 1 felt really hard and overwhelming, but I think I still learned a lot out of it, and it still was pretty fun. And just so you know, these rocks are downloaded, and this animation really took a lot of time with the AutoCAM plugin. But now, let's get into day 2, progress at a cost. I didn't tell you guys yet, but my goal of the whole week is to create a kitchen environment that resembles my actual kitchen. So I thought I first start with a cutting board to cut my stuff in the kitchen, and it's simple, I thought. But after I fixed it and textured the cutting board, it looked pretty fine, and I moved on to the next one. Now I need something to actually cut, so I started with a cucumber, and that one actually worked really well. I just beveled it, then smoothed out the edges, did some texturing after that, and smoothed it again, then adjusted the texture some more. With that, my cucumber was done, and I was able to move on to the last one for day 2, which was just a tomato. Just might not be the right word for that, but you'll see. This is where I also had to do my first sculpting, which was very frustrating but satisfying at the same time. After I was happy with the sculpting part and it looked almost like actual tomato, I had to do the top. And I don't want to talk about this. I made all these little grasses that need to be on top of a tomato one by one like this. And like you can see, it didn't really look good at the end. But I still textured it. And I can say on the final render, because the tomato is far away, it's pretty fine. With that, day 2 concludes. And we're getting into day 3. Confused with fun. On day 3 I had to do something to cut the vegetables I made. So I made a knife first. But when I put a lot of time into making the handle for the knife, this happened. Somehow the front disappeared and all my motivation for doing the knife was gone. But I knew something that was better than a knife anyways. An axe. So I made that one, and when it was finished it actually was a lot better, and I put everything into a scene, cut the cucumber, it looked amazing. Day 3 was very confusing and rough, but the end result speaks for itself. It was a pretty good day, but now let's get into day 4. Finally makes sense. I first started with a pan to have something to cook in the kitchen. I used a reference picture and then built along with it. When I built the back part, I first needed the boolean modifier. So I added a little cylinder, scaled it down to the size I needed, used the boolean modifier I learned, and with that the pen looked pretty good. but so far it had no texture. So I did that, and the pan was one of the best models I made so far. But you don't just need a pan in the kitchen, you also need a pot to cook in. So I made the form for a pot, sized it correctly, I made the top of it, but while doing the pot, my blender crashed and I didn't save any of it. So always remember to save, guys. But then, after I've redone everything, it looked even better, and with adding the little tip at the top, my boiling pot was looking pretty good. So, like always, I added some texture, and with that it was done. So like always, I built them into a little scene, which I actually put a lot of effort in, and with that, day 5 is done. I'm very happy with the results, and this day made a lot of fun. But now, moving on to day 5, keeping the momentum. On day 5, I wanted to do a lot of plates to eat the food I made on. First, I did this small plate, and I was already pretty happy with it, but I wanted another variation. So I also did this one, which was a little bigger and flatter. Then I wanted to have something to eat like soup in, so I made this one, but I wasn't quite happy with how the topology turned out. So I also made another one in similar style that actually turned out like my actual does look in real life. I'm very happy with this one. But now we're moving on to the best part of day 5. The coffee machine. The base was already done and looking pretty good, but it already consumed a lot of time. But next I had to do the little bean holders on the top. I've used the glass that I made before for that and made some tops for them. Then I made the part where the coffee actually comes out, which looked pretty weird, but it's fine I guess. Then I wanted to add some extra detail on the back with making a charger and adding some little text on the back that I've never used before. But then I realized I have nothing to pour my coffee in, so I also used the cup I made before and took a lot of time to make the handle as good as I could. Then placed it correctly onto the coffee machine. And with that, my best model so far in my opinion was done. Then, like every day, I've put everything into a scene and it turned out very good. Aside from the weird shadow, I don't know why I keep getting these. I'm not very good at rendering so far. Now we're almost to the finish on day 6, drowned in tutorials. Like you can guess from the title, this day was very full of tutorials and I did not record a lot because I was sick. But I still made some insane renders and I'm very proud of that day. First, I made these glasses, which are my actual glasses by the way. I made them with Blender Vitals tutorial, it was just 1 minute long and it was great. Now with the glasses we can also see the other ones. Next, I made this very realistic barrel. It's definitely the best thing I've done so far, but that was just because of this amazing tutorial by Pixo3D. I can really recommend this one, I learned a lot from it and it just looks great. But I still hate normal maps. But moving to the next one, I made these stylized crystals. These ones I've just did very fast and I used Gabbit's tutorial for that. These ones looked a lot better, but that was just because I've did mine very fast. For the ending, I've done a little ballpoint pen. This one I actually did on my own because I wanted to do something on my own at least. And I think it's not that bad for that, but it's definitely the worst one. With that, day 6 is already over and we're moving on to the final day, where I'm going to make a kitchen, because that was the goal of the whole series. I first started with the kitchen aisle. For that, I added a cube, extruded it to fit the form of the kitchen aisle, then scaled it up correctly, and with that it was already looking pretty good, but of course it wasn't the actual working kitchen aisle yet. That's why I first started with the sink. I just added a cube, matched it to the form of the sink I wanted, and then used the boolean modifier, and with that the sink was already looking pretty good. Later I also added a tab to it, but first I wanted to create the kitchen cabinets. So I divided the front of it where the cabinets should be. After removing some edges, it looked like my actual cabinets, but so far they weren't actually there and they had no handles. So I first started with the handle. I just added a cube, sized it correctly, then extruded the sides to match to the kitchen aisle, and my handle was done. So I copied that, moved it over to the next cabin. After that I also realized that my actual kitchen aisle had a little more on the right, so I extruded there. And then I used the handle for all other cabinets, and at the end my kitchen aisle looked like this. And with that I was pretty happy, but I'll spare you the other side of the kitchen modeling, because it really took a long time and it would just be the same thing again. So after that I textured it, and then I did my first render of the bare kitchen. And that's how my kitchen looked after that. I'm very happy with the result, and it really jumped my expectations from the start of the week. But now we still need to integrate the models I made throughout the week so it doesn't look that empty. So let's get straight to that. First I put some water into the sink with some dirty plates to make it look more realistic. Then with another plate on the top and a cutting board that I made. It had no texture that I had to add after, by the way. The kitchen already had a lot more life to it, but still there was nothing to cook in the kitchen. It means it's not a kitchen already. So I added the cooking pot I made, but when trying to add the cooking pot, I realized I had no space to even cook on. So I divided the space I made before, textured it, and with that I had something to cook on. So I placed the cooking pot onto it, after that the pan I made, and with these two I had something to cook with, but I still had nothing to eat. So I added the cucumber I made before, placed it onto the cutting board, and then I also wanted to add something onto the plate that was ready to eat. But the only food I have done so far was a tomato. So I added that on the plate, but then I realized it wasn't even cut, so I placed it onto the cutting board as well. I duplicated the tomato to make the cutting board look more full, and with that my food was done. But I still had some models to add. So I added the ugly spoon I made that I thought you couldn't see from the scene anyway, and a glass I made that I actually think looks pretty well. But then I realized I had nothing to cut my cucumber and tomato. So I added the only thing I had to cut, my big axe. Yeah, it was a little too big. So I scaled it down, put it into the cutting board to make it directly slice the cucumber. And it added a little Easter egg to my scene that only the people understand that watch the episode I tried to make a knife and then this came out. I really appreciate you guys. But the axe had no texture, so I separated the parts of it and textured them. And with that, my scene was done. I definitely did not do some minor adjustment that you guys won't notice anyway after that. So I placed the camera into the scene and clicked F12 to render it. And after a lot of waiting, my final result of everything I've done this week was done. I'm very happy with the result, and it really looks like my actual kitchen. It's a strange feeling when I walk into it now. But sadly, that's the end of this amazing week. I learned so much from this week and had a lot of fun. I thank you guys all for supporting me and watching throughout the video. I will continue learning Blender and also got some other amazing video ideas, so stay tuned and bye.